Okay. Hopefully my mic's working here. This is ArmoredCoreLR Raven. This is on the PS2. I'm emulating it through PCX. Um, I believe it's PCX S, PCS. I can't remember the name of the emulator, but it's the PlayStation 2 emulator. I was gonna do these individually, one by one, but I changed my mind. Just would take too long. There's too many. I guess at some point I just made a plethora of different ACs here. And for record purposes, just in case I want to go back and, remake these suits all over again, I'm gonna make a video, post a video here so that I can have it for my archive. That and a lot of you guys might want to make these suits too, so sharing is caring, I guess. Okay, for my first group, when I first started playing Armored Core, I was pretty big into basically Gundam Wing. So these are all of my Gundams. First up, of course, is the Ultron Gundam, which is the basically Shenlong custom from Gundam. The cool thing about this AC is probably how strong it is. Those lasers on its arms pretty much demolish whatever's in front of it. And then I put rockets on its back because I do missions with it too, and I notice these lasers don't have a lot of ammo. But this is a really, really destructive AC. Next up is my heavy arms. The cool thing about this heavy arms, I noticed when AC testing it, is it cuts down whatever's in front of it. These machine guns on its hands are by far, well, first of all, the Ultron Gundam has the strongest laser arms or laser weapons in the game that can be equipped, by hand. And then the same with heavy arms. Heavy arms has the strongest machine guns or miniguns that you could equip and use by hand in the game. So basically anything you put in front of this thing, it will mow down instantly. And those the back miniguns are pretty useful too. But yeah, this is my heavy arms custom. Now Burning Gundam is here. He's not technically Gundam Wing, but I put Burning Gundam here. This is basically Domon Kashu's from G Gundam. And this is a really cool AC. The awesome thing about this AC is its speed. It's ridiculously fast when playing with it. It's so mobile, it's kind of scary. And then the core on it has a built-in EO function. If you don't know what an EO function is basically an automated or rather auto-aiming minigun that is equipped inside of the chest of the robot that deploys when you of course press the button to do so. But then after that you literally don't have to do anything. It'll pretty much shred whatever's in front of your whatever enemy you're fighting. But yeah, that's the big thing with this one. It's really fast. For my Wing Zero, I focused on airtime. This thing can fly for a long time, pretty much forever. I made sure the condenser's really high. It has the best radiator and the best generator for safety purposes. Of course, I don't want it to overheat or run out of energy. And the cool thing about this one is probably the wings. The wings turn into these crazy looking cannons that pretty much obliterate whatever I'm hitting. Of course, I have to be stationary for that. And then I think the dual rifles are really cool too. They have pretty high, offense. And then we have Death Sith Custom or Death Sith Hell from Gundam Wing. Also, this one's really cool. What makes this one so cool is probably its armor. It has really, really high armor, and of course, it has the strongest punch weapon in the game. So, pretty much, if I hit an opponent, that opponent is dead. And if I need a second shot, it will. It's pretty much obliteration by that point. Those aren't just for show on its back. Those aren't just weird wings that are equipped for cosplay purposes. Those actually deploy and you can basically use those to shoot the opponent from long range in case I have that issue with having an opponent that doesn't allow me to get close. But yeah, this is Dead Sight. High armor, Good for people who love combat. So that's my first group, my Gundam Wing characters. Again, there's a lot here to go through. So I'm just gonna load up the next batch. I tried to name them appropriately to give me reference as to what type of builds I have. My Toro set, which I'm guessing is Gypsy Danger from Pacific Rim. So this should be like mostly movie based ACs here. So here's my Gypsy Danger from Pacific Rim. It looks exactly like it. It I love this bot. Has a laser cannon or a pulse rifle that is good for long range. I love the shape of it. It looks like it mimics the movie. Its hands actually transforms. The sword on its arm, pretty good sword. It pretty much burns up whatever you hit, and of course an EO core to shred the opponent when you're at close range, just to kind of kill their focus so that they're not paying attention to you too much. Then next up is my Evangelion build here. It's a cosplay build that looks pretty much iconic to the anime. Not really much to say. It is a combat based AC here. So good thing about the sword weapon on its arm is that it never runs out. So I can pretty much fight forever. This thing's armor is it's fairly decent armor wise, but it dies pretty quickly. So you got to pretty much get in and do the job. Of course it's fast. All of my thin ACs are going to be really fast. So it's pretty much a stick and move type. Then we have Voltron. This is a really old anime. This is actually before my time. I was not alive when this came out. But I don't know. I like the color scheme for Voltron. I had a tough time finding parts that match the way old school Voltron looks, but I think I pulled it off pretty well here. This thing has good armor. That's the most I could say. Good armor. It's just like the Evangelion build, but it's just more armor. You don't have to worry about dying as fast when you move in on the opponent. Next up is Gurren Lagann. This is probably one of the fastest builds that I have for this set. It's very powerful. It has an overboost function in the hanger, so it's just this thing is ridiculous, man. And then I put rockets on its back, of course, in case I need to shoot something from far away. This is a really good AC. Aesthetically, I love the way it looks too. It looks just like the final form from Gurren Lagann, the movie. My next build is Master Chief. I don't like Halo, but I just made this because it looks too much. It's like these parts are specifically put in this game so you can make Master Chief. Nagging suspicion there, but yeah, you guys know what you're looking at. It's pretty. This is spot on. I don't know. I just like the way it looks. It plays very well too. You think because of that little pistol that it's holding that it wouldn't like kill the opponent very fast. This thing destroys the opponent. I AC test this thing so many times, man. You pop that EO core that this thing has, and then you hit it with this cannon that it has on its arm. This cannon only has like maybe 10 shots tops. It obliterates whatever I'm fighting. And then if I get bored, I can pretty much just mow them down with this hand pistol, which it fires almost at the same interval as a machine gun. This is a beast AC, man. Okay, I believe that was set 2. I'm just gonna go through here. I try to give a brief analysis or description of each AC. Of course, again, because I rewatch these videos too, and it's information that I think is important to know, just to give me a feeling for overall how the AC feels when I play with it. That among other things. Okay, this is my Spawn build or my Hell Spawn build. It's basically from a Todd McFarlane Spawn comic. It looks awesome. The colors are saying very high AP or armor points. It has an EO core, a very special EO core too. That's not used on many of my ACs. And this thing is very strong. The cool thing about this AC is it's close range. So if I get in on you, I have a machine gun and I have a flamethrower that I always shoot at the same time. So you can imagine like the devastation on the opponent when you get in on them. And then the EO core pretty much holds them in place for me to do my work. That back cannon is pretty ridiculous in power. Like each volley from that back cannon is maybe 4 to 5,000 AP points. Keep in mind, an AC with good armor points has about 8,000 tops. So basically this thing is like walking death. It's one of my favorite ACs so far. Next up is the RoboCop build. I call this the Robonaut build. That movie, not a fan of the movie, but I decided to make an AC based on that reboot movie. You'll notice the logo. I individually hand draw logos for each one of these suits. So I believe this one is the corporation from RoboCop the movie. But long story short, this thing is quick. It's fast on its feet. Its boosters move it around the screen at pretty much blinding speed, and it doesn't have an issue with energy. These mini, these little guns that it's holding don't look like they do much, but these will absolutely destroy whatever you're shooting because I fire them in tandem or I fire them simultaneously, and the damage is about 1,000 per volley. So this thing is pretty monstrous. And then just to top off its ridiculous speed and its incredible pistols here, it has an EO core, so it does all the work for me pretty much. So all I have to do is focus on moving, basically dodging whatever's coming towards my AC and firing my pistols, and then the EO core pretty much cuts down the enemy from a decent range. Good AC, very fast. Next up is Big Guy. This is from Big Guy and Rusty. A lot of you guys probably have no idea what that is, especially you younger viewers out there. But Big Guy and Rusty is basically a cartoon from Fox Kids from like the 90s. And Big Guy just has a really cool, unique design in my opinion. And he fits in this game perfectly. The bazooka and the machine gun that he's holding are just devastating, especially this bazooka. If I hit the opponent with that thing, they're gonna overheat. It's gonna shave off a large fraction of their life, and they're pretty much screwed. And then I didn't mention the EO core this thing has in it. This is the strongest EO core in the game. So those two those spheres on the top of his back are actually deployable pods that individually cut down the opponent with built-in cannons that they have for themselves. So this thing is just devastating, and I never have an issue with armor points. This is my default build. This is when I want to play hard mode. So if I go to like a tough mission or something like that, and I just want to see what the mission would be like with like the crappy default parts, I pick this one. It puts basically all of the early generation or early design model parts on the AC here, and it just makes the game really hard to play through, which was that was the point. Next up is my RoboCop build. This is, of course, retro RoboCop from the 90s. And I love this thing. This hand cannon, well, it hurts. And it also has a pretty strong EO core that does a lot of the work, too, from a decent range. So this one's pretty much just fun to play with overall. When I first put this cannon on this AC, I didn't know that this cannon it has an aiming reticle, so I don't have to I don't have to manually aim it like a rocket, which is a definite plus for this thing because this thing's like damage potential is just ridiculous. And then of course it has a laser weapon, or rather a laser blade, and it's the strongest in the game. So this thing will wreck you. And good build. Okay, I believe that was set three. Yep, set three. So we're going to four here. I can't remember the name for four. Again, I try to keep them specific. Shia, as in Shia LaBeouf. So this is my Transformers set. Should be pretty cool. Just a bunch of Transformers. Should be like retro and new school Transformers here. I gotta make this video kind of quick too. I have to study like school stuff. Okay, This one is Megatron. This is OG Megatron. Pretty good build. I haven't play tested it yet, to be honest. I haven't done a full HC test, so I have no idea what it feels like. This is just something I found on Google. This ain't Starscream, but this is something I found on Google that I thought looked really cool, and I made it myself by eye. Pretty accurate. Probably has better stats than the you know, the build that I saw on the internet, but yeah. And then here's Starscream. This Starscream's pretty cool too. It these look exactly like the old school Transformers, so that's why I made them. Aesthetically, they just look awesome. I have no idea how these two play though, so I can't really give a critique. Next up is Cheetor. I made this by hand. I just love the way Cheetor look. This is from Beast Machines or Beast Wars, and it's just an awesome build, man. It looks just like the character, in my opinion. Everything from the colors to the structure of the AC is just insanely accurate. And this thing is fast. You'll notice it has a punch weapon on its arm. The cool thing about its punch weapon is it has a lot of ammo, so it's not just like, two or three punches and then I'm out. I can pretty much beat on you constantly. And then the laser blade is, of course, laser blades are infinite, but this laser blade has a housed-in wave effect, so I can hit you from long distance with this blade, giving you the proper height. So this AC is pretty good for the most part, even though I might go back and do some tweaking. But this thing is just all speed. It's ridiculously fast, boosters and on its feet, and it hits hard. Next up is Optimus Primal. This is also from Beast Wars or Beast Machines, and it's really really old. This is probably, it's not before my time, so I don't know. I just like it. I think aesthetically it looks awesome. I like the shape of it, the way it looks. Of course, this is another puncher. Its equipment is slightly different from Cheetor. It has very high armor points in comparison to Cheetor, and it's probably not as fast. But as you can see, it can take a hit, and it can give one too, equally as devastating. So really good AC build, good for close hand combat. Next up is Bumblebee. This is Michael Bay's Bumblebee remake. And I just had to make it. It just, Bumblebee looks so cool. He's my favorite Transformer by far from the movies. I thought about making Optimus, but Bumblebee's just a give in here. Play wise, it plays pretty smooth. It has an EO core. The EO core cuts down the opponent from mid to close range, and the this gun that it has is pretty ridiculous. It's a high heat rifle, which means it overheats the enemy so that the enemy can't move anymore. So it's just overall awesome. And then the blade arm's pretty strong too. It has decent damage. Not the strongest blade arm, but it's a powerful blade arm. And then those back mechanisms are not just for show. Those are actually booster. They're complementing the boosters that I have for the AC, making him a lot faster than he's supposed to be. Which it's pretty monstrous how this thing moves. And no energy issues somehow. I managed to tune and tweak and equip the proper equipment to make this thing pretty much perfection in combat. So yeah, that's Bumblebee. Okay, cut down that set. I think next set is 5. I believe the next set is 5. Yeah, next set is 5, which is Duo. So this is old school Gundam, not Gundam Wing. Well, technically it is Gundam Wing. It's just not the Gundam Wing movie. It's the show, the Gundam show. Okay, RX-78-2. This is basically a classic old school default very first Gundam ever put in Gundamness, and it just looks aesthetically it looks awesome. This thing is really strong. That rifle doesn't look like much, but that rifle takes about more than 2,000 per pop. So this thing pretty much hurts whatever I'm hitting, and you only get so many shots too. I think there's about 11, 10 or 11 shots for this thing. But the cool thing about it is when I'm done with that rifle, I can pretty much pop it off and use that little pistol that's right next to my rifle. And that pistol has ridiculous ammo, so I can pretty much last the fight and pretty much chip and tear the life away from my opponent with ease. I don't have to say it, but this thing is pretty fast on feet too. It's not the fastest running machine, but it runs just fast enough to let this is an original old school prototype build. The core is EO, of course, so it cuts down the opponent, killing their focus, which I love. I love EO cores in general because they're run by energy. They're not solid ammo, so I don't have to worry about missions having low scores when I have an EO core. And as for a shield, I can pop that shield. Of course, it's a choice, but I can pop that shield and just put on my laser arm or my laser blade, and then use my sword. And this is a pretty well-rounded build here. Next up is default Death Sith. This is basically the original Death Sith from Gundam, not Death Sith Hell. And this thing has good armor. It moves quick on its feet. Its boosters are very powerful. And then I complemented the boosters by adding, more boosters on his back. And I think aesthetically this is really accurate to what the anime looks like. Also, he has the Moonlight Blade. This blade arm is that green thing on his arm is pretty monstrous in damage and blade range. So I never have an issue fighting with this thing. And again, it doesn't have any long range guns or anything like that. So this is pretty much for the pure hand to hand combat people out there, people who just like to fight. This is the AC for you. Next up is Wing Zero. This Wing Zero, of course, is not custom, but it has the Kurosawa or the gun, the giant gun that it's holding is pretty much the most devastating, one of the most devastating rifles in the game. It's energy based. It's a problem. And then on top of that, the shield. It looks like a shield that is holding, but that's actually a shield and or blade arm. So I have the luxury of pretty much cutting down the opponent with this laser, and then if they choose to get in close, I can pretty much blade them to oblivion. And then I think what adds salt to the wound or makes this thing even worse is probably its EO core. It has an EO core that can cut down the opponent too, so the opponent just can't focus. And I made sure I put on the best, most condensed generator I can find, so that my energy is just through the roof, so I never have an issue. Given that literally all of the weapons on this thing are energy based, so this thing is pretty monstrous. And of course, it's the king of the sky, so I can pretty much fly as much as I like when playing with this AC, which I love. Next up is heavy arms. This, of course, is not custom. This is the base heavy arms, and you can tell the color and design for this thing is totally different from heavy arms custom. And it does the job. To be honest, I can depend on the minigun that it's holding to basically chip the opponent's life away. And I also have a punching weapon, so he hits hard. It pretty much covers every range. This thing has missiles for long range. It has a punching weapon for close range. It has a minigun for mid range. Like, this thing is almost impossible to escape. And I made sure the things that I equipped on this AC are the most powerful things I can find, just because I know I can only depend on pretty much one weapon at a time. And that thing has good armor. Shinlong. Shinlong is dope. Shinlong is like, I can't even explain Shinlong. It has a back cannon. That long stick on his back is a laser rifle with ridiculous damage. And then on top of that, the other cannon on the other side of his shoulder, or your right, is a pulse rifle, or rather a little miniature pulse cannon that has a lot of ammo for for long distance missions, or if I just want to cut the opponent down slowly. And then on top of that, it can punch quite a lot, and the blade arm is really good. So no, it doesn't have a blade arm. The shield, I meant, the shield is pretty good on this thing. So I can pretty much put my guard up. I can hold the left arm weapon or the shield, and then I can get in close and pretty much punch the opponent to death. And this thing has good armor, so I don't worry about my armor being chipped away. And overall, this thing is pretty much a masterpiece of combat. It's one of my favorite. It's probably my second favorite Gundam design too. Aesthetically, it looks really cool and distinctive. Okay, I think that was group 5. So we're gonna move along. I think 6 is the last group. Yeah, I haven't even finished. I haven't finished 6. Let's see what's the deal here. Okay. Okay, this is my group 6. This is basically my comic book group. So it's just comic builds that I'm making. Comic based builds. Yeah, I know Spawn should be here. But this is my Juggernaut. Juggernaut has ridiculous armor, of course. It's Juggernaut. It's momentum focused. So everything that's equipped on this thing is designed for you to keep moving. Because like in the books, Juggernaut is he once Juggernaut starts moving, you can't stop Juggernaut. So that was the point of this build. Just really ridiculously high armor and weapons that I can fire on the go. So I literally never have to stop. I can pretty much beat and cut down the opponent, and there's nothing they can do to stop me. I think what makes this AC so scary is probably its core. The chest on this AC is EO, and of course it's those dual EO cannons. Those cannons shave more than 1,000 per pop from the opponent. So I literally just have to use my boosters to get in close, pop those cannons, and it's pretty much game over from there. I can play around, I can beat and cut down the opponent, and I've never had an issue with this AC because it's so ridiculous in armor. Next up is my Hulk build. This is based on the Incredible Hulk from the comics. Um, this thing is retarded strong. It has the strongest weapons in the game. Of course, its punch arm or its right arm, your left, is the strongest punch weapon, and then the blade arm, of course, is the strongest blade arm in the game. Has high heat, and those silver boxes on his back, those are nuclear warheads. Again, those are nuclear warheads on this character's back. Those nukes take about 6,000 per impact. Keep in mind the average AC has about 8,000 if its armor is good. So I'll let you decide like how many times I have to hit the opponent before they die. What's so awesome about this AC is that it is the strongest there is. And I don't know, it's pretty beast. Of course, I haven't field tested this one though. I literally just made this AC, so I don't know how it plays in combat. I'm going to test it and tweak it accordingly. But aesthetically, this looks insanely. It just looks good. It looks good, and I know the equipment it has on is pretty monsters too. Next up is Predator. Here's another fresh build I just made. I haven't tested it yet, but I know the equipment inside and out, so I know it's a good build. Everything you need is here, man. Color wise, aesthetically, it's pretty accurate. This looks like Jungle Hunter Predator, and he has the back cannon with the flippable turret. The armor design is insanely accurate. Everything down to the helmet is it's pretty on point. The cool thing about this one is it's designed to basically beat on the opponent by hand. But if I get bored, just like in the movie, I can use that back cannon and pretty much kill them instantly. And if I run out of punches, if I can't punch anymore, I have an old school Magnum, which actually pays homage to the second Predator movie. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Danny Glover, but that Magnum is actually an Easter egg to a scene from that movie. But yeah, Predator, and it's a really good build. Good armor, very fast, uh, devastating attack power, long range and close range. Just overall, it's super fun. Speaking of super fun, here's my alien build. Fast. This thing is fast. That's all I gotta say. It's fast. I can move in on the opponent and cut him down. No guns, of course, because it's an alien. I've never seen an alien shoot a gun. So I don't know. I just think that's stupid. So this thing is strictly close hand combat. This thing gets in close and it cuts down the opponent. The cool thing about it is probably the aesthetic design of it. Everything's blue. laser blade is blue. The boosters come out blue. It looks very it looks very Geiger. It's very alien looking. And this AC is beast speed wise too. This is one of the fastest ACs I've designed so far, and it's just fun to play with. So just paying testament to how how hard or how accurate I can get these designs here. But I think this is the last AC here, my alien design. And I hope you dug these, man. If you like any of these, I'm sure a lot of you can build these by eye. These parts aren't very difficult to find. So yeah, that's all of my ACs. Deuces.